The story opens with a sharp reminder of how it all began. How a fearless rabbit and a sly fox shattered every rule in Zootopia, becoming the city's first rabbit officer and first fox officer. Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, two partners who prove that anyone can change the world if they dare to try. Now, a new morning rises. Judy and Nick get ready for another mission as Zootopia's top agents. Meanwhile, across the precinct, Chief Bogo briefs the team about today's target. A corrupt customs inspector smuggling foreign goods and using reptiles in his shady operations. As Bogo hands out assignments, he intentionally skips Judy and Nick. He just doesn't believe they can handle a case this big. But when he finally looks around, the rabbit and the fox are gone, completely vanished from the room. That's when Clawhauser hurries over, breathless, telling him the truth. They're already on site. They reach the crime scene before everyone else. And at that moment, Judy and Nick confront the corrupt inspector. With a fast, clever plan, they pretend to celebrate the birthday of Judy's baby. He signs the baby clothes as a souvenir, not realizing the baby is Finnick, the tiny fox from the first movie, disguised again. While he's distracted, Judy uncovers the smuggled goods hidden inside the containers. The instant the inspector realizes he's been tricked by the police, he jumps into his car and speeds away. Backup units arrive, but instead of supporting Judy and Nick, they blame them for the chaos. They even call them unfit for the job and order them off the case entirely. But Judy and Nick refuse to step back. They know they're close. They know they can solve this, even if no one else believes in them. And as they chase the suspect deeper into the city, Zootopia is about to be pulled into trouble bigger than anyone expects. At that moment, Chief Bogo pulled Judy aside, his voice low but heavy with frustration. He warned her that crossing boundaries without permission isn't bravery, it's reckless. And it sends the wrong message to the young officers who look up to her. Nick stepped in immediately, ready to defend his partner, but Bogo cut him off. He reminded them that the only reason he allowed a rabbit and a fox to work together was because of the incredible service they had given the city before. But starting now, things would change. No more chasing reptiles, no more field missions. And if they didn't follow every rule exactly, he'd split them up on the spot. A short while later, we see Judy and Nick sitting in the office of Dr. Wasby, the precinct psychologist, hoping she can help them figure out their partnership issues. Judy explains that they've only been working together officially for a week. Dr. Wasby nods gently and tells her that this is exactly the problem. Real partnership takes time, patience, and years of understanding. Improvement won't come in a week. It might take a few years. After the session, Judy and Nick walk out into the hallway. Judy insists they need to talk to Bogo immediately, to promise him they'll do things right, and that they deserve another chance. But Nick suggests the opposite, staying quiet, calm, and avoiding anything that might get them punished again. A moment of silence hangs between them. Then Nick asks Judy if she truly thinks they're a good team. Judy answers without hesitation. Of course they are. And now more than ever, they have to prove it. With full confidence, she hands him a small handbook, a partnership guide, and tells him they should each study it on their own. Nick heads to his room. He places his recorded carrot pen on the table, settles in, then quietly hides the partnership guide away, almost like he's running from the responsibility. Judy, on the other hand, returns home, shuts down the distractions from her family, and dives into the guide with full focus, determined to make this partnership work. But suddenly, a news report catches her attention. Something about the reptiles. She recognizes the smuggler's car. At the same moment, another headline flashes on the screen. An article from the Linksley Press, the same newspaper hosting an upcoming city event. Curious, she digs deeper, searching online until she uncovers something strange. A story from years ago about a snake that tried to steal the newspaper and another snake that killed a turtle. And after that incident, no snakes were ever seen again. But the article hinted at something unsettling. They might return one day. And Judy realizes that day might be today. A little later, we see Nick relaxing, fully absorbed in a documentary about Mayor Brian. But the moment Judy calls him, excited and breathless, everything shifts. She tells him what she's uncovered, and after a bit of convincing, Nick agrees. They'll take this case on together. Before long, they head to the elegant ceremony held in honor of the Linksley Gazette, a huge event filled with animals of every kind, even the famous singer Gazelle. Mayor Brian is being welcomed like royalty inside, but Judy and Nick stay in their tiny patrol car outside, watching the scene from a distance. And when they pull into the parking lot, they notice something strange. Several cars identical to the inspector's vehicle. Judy walks up to one, touches the hood, and it's still warm. That means a reptile transport must have happened moments ago. So she decides they have to go inside. And of course, she's already thought ahead. She brought Nick a sharp suit, and she's wearing a sleek evening gown herself. They clean up fast, admire the transformation, and head into the party with confidence. Inside, they discover this whole ceremony is for the official unveiling of the Linksley Gazette. Judy quickly spots the reserved platform where the newspaper will be revealed. Nick whispers a plan to slip past security without drawing attention. They move in quietly until Judy freezes. The newspaper is metal, nothing like a normal archive. Something isn't right. And just then, Nick warns her, Chief Bogo is here. Judy ducks behind a column, but in her rush, she bumps into a proud, well-dressed lynx who introduces himself as Bobert Linksley. The two of them laugh awkwardly and chat for a moment, long enough for Nick to get visibly annoyed. Soon, the Linksley family pulls Bobert away to continue the ceremony. But just as the reveal is about to begin, Bogo suddenly grabs Nick and drags him outside. Judy can't react in time, and during the presentation, something drops from the ceiling. A massive sheet crashes down, and from beneath it rises a snake. Panic erupts. Guests scream and run in every direction. The snake lunges forward, grabs Milton Linksley, the family patriarch whose word no one ever dares challenge, and then it snatches the metallic newspaper as well. Shock hits the crowd. No one has seen a snake inside Zootopia for years, but now one is standing in the center of their grand celebration. And then, as chaos still echoed behind them, Judy sprinted after the snake and finally caught up to him. But instead of fighting back, he faced her with shaking breath and revealed something she never expect. He wasn't a villain at all. He explained that the newspaper he carried was the only proof that could restore his people's lost dignity. The one truth that could show the world snakes weren't the monsters everyone believed. He was just about to finish when Nick suddenly appeared out of nowhere and knocked him out with a metal pan. The snake collapsed instantly. At that same moment, Bobert managed to free himself, and grabbed the newspaper again. His family rushed over and warned Judy and Nick that they planned to announce a very different story, that the snake had attacked them, making the Linksley family look like innocent victims. Judy refused to lie. With firm resolve, she convinced Nick they had to take the snake and escape before anyone silenced him. So they ran through smoke and fire, dragging him with them. But as they reached the exit, General Bogo appeared right in front of them. Terrified, the snake reacted on instinct and bit Bogo without meaning to. That was all the Linksley family needed. They immediately claimed that the general had been attacked by the snake, and that Judy and Nick were standing on the reptile's side. Their version spread fast. Within minutes, everyone believed the two officers were helping a dangerous creature. In the middle of all the confusion, the guards managed to snatch the newspaper away. Judy and Nick chased after them, only to find Mr. Big himself waiting. With help from his towering polar bear guards, he kidnapped the two officers and forced them into his car. Meanwhile, Milton Linksley pushed the mayor with brutal pressure. He demanded the newspaper back and insisted the mayor get rid of the rabbit and the fox at once, or he would expose the idea that the city chose the wrong leader. One threat, and the mayor's position would crumble. But far from the chaos, Judy and Nick arrived at Mr. Big's private fashion workshop. Frou-Frou, Mr. Big's daughter and Judy's close friend, welcomed them warmly. Mr. Big proudly introduced his granddaughter, and because of what Judy once did for his family, he agreed to help them again. Still, he warned them too. Getting involved with a snake was dangerous, and the Linksley family had far more power than they realized. Facing them alone was impossible. Judy answered with quiet confidence. They had sworn to protect Zootopia, and that meant finding the truth. To do that, they needed to read the newspaper. That was when Frou-Frou told them the twist. Only a reptile could read it. The artifact was ancient. Too ancient, and all the reptiles were in hiding. No one could reach them except true experts. And luckily, Frou-Frou knew someone who could help. At that moment, Frou-Frou led them straight to Nibbles Mapplestick, a clever, sharp-witted muskrat who greeted them with a grin and said, "If you want to talk to reptiles, I'm your muskrat." Nibbles wasn't just confident. She was an old friend who knew exactly where to find the group of reptiles capable of decoding the newspaper. So she took them to her contact, Jesus, a lizard who knew everything about the reptile world and might be able to read the ancient script. But reaching him wouldn't be easy. They had to cross a lake, which meant dealing with Bob, a water creature who worked like a living fairy for anyone brave enough to explore that hidden region. Nibbles guided them through a long, dark tunnel, quiet, cold, and unsettling, until they reached a heavy door deep underground. Before opening it, she gave one last warning. If the reptiles offer you food, you must accept it immediately. Refusing it is a huge insult in their culture. Then she pushed open the door. Behind it was a massive underground hall filled with dozens of reptiles, drinking, talking, living together like a secret society buried beneath Zootopia. Hidden residents, living right under everyone's feet. Finally, they reached Jesus. He welcomed them with respect, and before saying a word, he placed a bowl in front of them, a dish overflowing with worms. "Please," he said, "eat." It was the only way he would speak. Judy and Nick agreed, trying not to gag as they swallowed the worms one by one. And the second they finished, Jesus burst into laughter. It was a test, and they passed. Only then did he explain the truth. The metal cover of the newspaper meant it belonged to one of the rarest, oldest categories. Only snakes could read the carvings pressed into the metal, and if a turtle died protecting it, then something inside must be incredibly important. He told them that reptiles had been feared and hated for generations because of the secrets hidden in this very artifact. And he warned them, the Linksley family wasn't only after power. They were planning to expand their territory and drive every reptile out of the region. If the newspaper fell into their hands, no one would be able to stop them. In the wrong hands, this artifact would be a disaster. Suddenly, Judy and Nick realized the police had followed them all the way to the hideout. Panic shot through the entire reptile hall. Reptiles scattered in every direction, terrified of being discovered. Without wasting a second, Jesus pushed Judy and Nick toward an exit tunnel, reminding them that they had already saved the city once, and they could do it again. Just as they slipped out of the tunnel, the snake reappeared, desperate and shaking. In a single quick move, he snatched the newspaper from Judy's paws. His voice cracked as he said he needed it to save his family. Judy and Nick rushed after him, but Nibbles Mapplestick yelled a warning from behind. "If you cross the red line in the tunnel, the oxygen drops fast. Don't go in there." But the snake had already disappeared deep into the red zone passage. Without thinking, Judy followed him, forcing Nick to run after her. The pipe was flooded with water, and halfway through, Judy started losing her breath. Nick grabbed her just in time, pulling her sideways into a small emergency outlet. They burst out, soaked, exhausted, into an area they had never seen before. A group of mountain goats stared at them in annoyance. Meanwhile, the officers behind them found the snake's wallet at the pipe entrance. Inside it was a drawing of a small cabin surrounded by flowers, back on the mountain slope. The goats explained that those flowers only grew at the very top of the peak, near a hut known as Honeymoon Cabin, a place famous for being completely filled with snakes. Then, with mocking smirks, the goats wished them good luck, insisting they'd really enjoy the trip up there. Judy and Nick continued climbing, tied to ropes dangling from the cliff. But halfway up, the fight between them exploded. Nick played back the recording from the carrot pen, Judy calling herself a dumb bunny. The tension snapped. And in the middle of the argument, the carrot recorder slipped from his paw, fell onto the rocks, and shattered. Hurt and frustrated, they decided to split up. Judy kept climbing toward the peak alone. Nick stayed behind, but even through his anger, he still followed her from a distance. Down below, the police found the broken carrot pen and understood immediately that Judy and Nick had climbed the mountain. At the top, Judy reached the place from the drawing. Inside, she found stacks of old documents, maps, studies, and records about land expansion and the displacement of reptiles. Piece by piece, the truth came together. The Linksley family had been forcing animals out of their homes for generations to claim more land. That was how they built their entire empire. And long before any of this, Zootopia itself originally belonged to the reptiles. That was the secret the Linksleys had tried to erase from history. In that moment, Judy finally understood. The snakes weren't villains. They were survivors. And this might be their last chance to set things right. Just then, Nick appeared behind her, breathless and tense. He warned her that the police had reached the mountain, and this time, they weren't coming to arrest them. They were coming to silence them. Nick begged her to walk away. "This case isn't worth dying for," he told her. "No principle is going to change anything." But Judy pushed back, firm and steady. "If we don't do what's right, nothing will ever change," she said. "And now, I finally see the whole truth." Nick shook his head, insisting that heroism never made a real difference. "We swore to make the world better," he said quietly. "But right now, there's an innocent snake who needs us. The world stays the same no matter what we do." Judy looked at him with a sadness he wasn't ready for. "Maybe they're the ones who can be different," she said. And at that exact moment, the police stormed in. Chaos hit instantly. The two had to split up. The snake burst into the room and dragged Judy away to safety. Boebert Linksley was there too, and the snake insisted he could be trusted. Just before officers lunged toward Judy, Nick froze under the pressure, unable to move. Judy was knocked unconscious. When she finally woke up, she found herself far from the mountain, with the snake and Boebert beside her. They told her the truth. Nick had been captured. Meanwhile, the Linksley family had thrown Nick into a dark cell. They told him they would let him watch as they killed Judy, so he could finally learn his lesson. Then one of the Linksley daughters entered the cell, carrying a small bag. Inside it were strands of hair from the one helping the rabbit. Her father recognized it instantly. It was Boebert's hair. At the same time, far away in a hidden desert shelter, Boebert guided Judy and the snake to one of his secret hideouts, the place he always escaped to when the city became too loud. There, the snake finally said his real name, Gary Zasnack. Boebert explained something even stranger. Only snakes with heat receptors, like Gary, could read the newspaper. It required a specific temperature reaction, one only Gary could trigger. Judy asked why Boebert's grandfather would hide such an important object from everyone, especially from snakes. And that's when Boebert revealed the truth that changed everything. The newspaper was never the Linksley family's property. Zootopia was not founded by mammals. It was founded by a reptile, Gary's own grandmother. She was the one who designed the climate walls, creating a stable environment for every species. A city where every animal could live in its ideal habitat. All she needed was a sponsor. But once Boebert's grandfather realized how valuable her invention was, he plotted to steal it. To erase the evidence, he murdered the housekeeper and framed Gary's grandmother. A snake, so no one questioned it. From that moment on, reptiles were pushed out of Zootopia. And the old reptile settlement? His grandfather buried it under layers of snow, believing no one would ever uncover the truth. But he was wrong. Gary's grandmother managed to hide the original blueprint, the proof of her invention, inside her home. And if Gary could find that house, he could uncover the truth and reclaim their stolen history. The land the Linksleys were searching for, it was the exact land Boebert's family once owned. Judy followed the markings Gary had left behind. Together, they finally understood how to solve the case. But Boebert overlooked one thing, something he should have seen coming. His phone was still in his pocket, and his father had been tracking him. While all this was happening, trapped and bruised, Nick sits alone in the dark, still replaying his fight with Judy, when something unexpected moves in the corner of his cell. Nick looks up, and there she is. Nibbles the beaver, quietly slipping inside. She sees how broken he is, listens as he pours out everything. The argument, the guilt, the fear. She doesn't say a word. She just taps a piece of wood against the floor, shapes it into a makeshift key, and opens his cell. But the problem is, she accidentally unlocks every cell. Dozens of prisoners rush out. No time to think. Nick grabs the only hope for speed in all of Zootopia, Flash. They jump into his car and race out, desperate to reach Judy. As they pull away, Bellwether appears in the shadows, watching them with a cold, wicked smile. Meanwhile, Judy and her new allies are running for their lives as the police chase them through a crowded festival. Bright lights, blasting music, chaos everywhere. At the same time, Benjamin the Tiger helps Nick and Nibbles track Judy's exact location. And Milton Linksley finally realizes what Judy's group is searching for: Gary's grandmother's house. Enraged, he orders the officers to shoot Judy and everyone with her. But the officers slip, and the dart flies straight toward Boebert. In a split second, Judy throws herself forward, saving him, and takes the hit herself. Just then, Flash's car bursts through the crowd. Nick, Nibbles, and Flash pull everyone out before the police close in, and they rush into the massive climate wall, determined to find the house holding the proof of the invention. Nick hesitates at the entrance, police closing in behind him, until Nibbles yanks him inside at the last second. They finally prepare to begin the search when the betrayal hits. Boebert's voice changes. His expression turns cold. He reveals who he truly is, a loyal Linksley descendant. He injects Judy with snake venom and tells her the truth. No matter our friendship, I'm one of them. Just like my family, I've always been an outcast trying to prove I matter. And now I finally can. If I destroy the patent, they'll accept me, even if it means sacrificing you. Judy collapses, her body weakening fast, and Boebert attacks, first Nibbles, then Nick. At the same time, Gary shouts the words his grandmother once taught him. No single animal can protect a whole city alone. Zootopia was meant for everyone, a place where each species helps the other. Please, don't lose hope. We can still finish what she started. And then Gary pulls Judy into his arms, pressing his body heat against her. Her color slowly returns, but she's still dying because Boebert took the antidote Gary always carried for moments like this. In that very moment, the police rushed in. And when they found Judy unconscious, they assumed the snake had attacked her. That's when Gary spotted Nick on the cameras, and with the last bit of strength he had, he stumbled outside, begging him to throw the pouch, the antidote Boebert had stolen. Nick, barely standing, pulled every ounce of courage he had left, and made the throw. A perfect shot, just enough for Judy to get the antidote in time. Her heartbeat steadied, her eyes opened, and the rabbit breathed life again, standing tall, steady, and determined to finish what she started. Right then, she understood. This was her herd, and Nick, in all his flaws and loyalty, was the fox every rabbit dreams of having by their side. With that strength, she returned to the fight, and we see Nibbles, miraculously still alive, joining the others as they realized Boebert had escaped. Boebert had already reached his father, insisting he'd always been on his side, telling him Nibbles had only pretended to help so she could destroy the invention's innocence. His father finally embraced him, proud, but said the original proof had to be delivered. But Nibbles appeared, with the whole crew behind her, refusing to back down. Boebert ran again, and Judy and Nick chased him through a maze of ice wrapped around the climate wall. Meanwhile, Nibbles faced the mayor head-on, telling him heroism isn't about being on TV. It's about being brave when it actually matters. Her words hit him hard, and for the first time, he took a stand, snapping Linksley's hold over him. Judy, Nick, Gary, and Nibbles finally trapped Boebert. After a wild chase, they pinned him down and gave him a sedative shot, stopping him without causing harm. Once the threat was over, they all headed to the ancient reptile den buried beneath the ice, and stepped inside Gary's grandmother's old home, the place where the real truth had been hidden for centuries. Gary put on the special glasses, and the memories awakened. The others entered, watching history unfold before their eyes, until they discovered the grandmother had hidden the original invention proof inside a music box, protected with care, waiting for the one who truly deserved it. But before they could celebrate, Boebert burst back in, using his very last breath to try and destroy the proof. He didn't get far. A single clean hit from two pig officers who had finally learned the truth dropped him to the floor. Then we cut to the news. A bold headline announcing that officers Judy and Nick, along with Gary the Snake and Nibbles the Beaver, had uncovered a history-changing truth for Zootopia, exposing the Linksley family and ending centuries of lies and corrupt. At a formal ceremony, they're awarded medals of honor. Soon after, we see them giving talks to new recruits, inspiring a fresh generation of officers. Gary celebrates the reopening of Zootopia, and for the first time in decades, reptiles are finally welcomed back. Jesus the Lizard stands proud, grateful the city has finally acknowledged its real past. Thanks to the restored invention, Gary reunites with his family, hugging them tightly. Judy watches with a warm smile, and Nick steps beside her, handing her a new personalized carrot recorder, a small symbol of their renewed partnership. Looks like they're ready for a happy future, or at least ready to fix one last tiny problem. They still have to round up the inmates who escaped when Nick and Nibbles accidentally opened the cells. And so, the rabbit, the fox, and their wonderfully strange team gear up for whatever comes next, ready to protect a Zootopia that now truly belongs to everyone. And just like that, our story comes to a close.